2 o'clock. And this is the Infrastructure Advisory Board monthly meeting. And I would like to start please call the roll.
Jerry's coming.
Jerry's here.
Mr. Barnett? Mr. Bravsky? Mr. Angeli?
Here.
Ms. Sharkey? She was supposed to be on Zoom, but she's not here. Mr. Walters?
Here.
Ms. Wag? Mr. Zutman?
Here.
Mr. Partington?
Yeah.
Ms. Mamana?
Here.
And Chair Redskins.
Here.
We do have a point.
Thank you. First item, approval of agenda. It's a long agenda, so I would like to rush through the through the administrative stuff. And then
To approve the agenda as written.
I have, okay, motion by Peter, second by Roosevelt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. Second item, approval of the previous meeting minutes. Meeting from March 2nd, last month.
Move to approve with or without correction.
Second.
Comments, questions? No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay. Minutes has been approved. Excellent. Next agenda item, old business. And with that, I would like to welcome our new old members, Marilyn and Gerald. Missed for the couple of months. 1 month. Okay, well, it's still perfect attendance.
I got picked up on waivers.
But I would
Good morning.
like to welcome you to the board. We are the board, we're not the task force anymore. Huge accomplishment. Credits to both of you. You were a part of this transition. And that was initially, the goal of the last year. And with our vice chair right now, who was a chair at that time, Peter, we accomplished that. That's a huge accomplishment for this board and all the members, obviously. I appreciate everybody comes every month, but also that, we actually doing something for the future of this city. So even without us being here physically, we hope that the board will continue their function and all the work. Anyway, enough me because I'm a talker. So Marilyn, do you have any comments? And
No, I just want to say I'm happy to be back, and I'm so happy that you are the chair. And I wish you great things as a chair. I know it's a hard job, so
especially you. You know that very well. You've been a chair for many years.
Right. So I'm here. If there's anything I can do to give you a hand, I'm happy to do that. But I have great confidence that you'll do great things.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome, Gerald. Any comments from you?
Sorry I missed last meeting. And what Marilyn said. Nice to be back.
Good.
Glad to serve on the board.
Okay. We're happy that you guys back, so definitely. I feel like the team is strong. We didn't lose anyone, right? We have some new additions. Well, we lose some few, but I'm hoping they're supporting us. Okay. Any old business from the board members? I open the floor.
We have a hand raised online.
Oh yes, we have one board member, and that's Lisa. Lisa Sharp.
Yes. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
You can now.
Just about.
Okay, great. I was on, so I listened for a while, but it took a little while before they let me in as panelist. So good afternoon, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person today.
That's fine. Thank you, Lisa. We marked you as a presence virtually.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The board needs to vote to allow her to attend Pleasant.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And vote. Got two motions you gotta have.
So a motion to allow Mr. Sharkey to attend remotely via
And
vote.
This separate.
And to be
I second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion approving Lisa Sharkey to attend via Zoom and voting has been approved. Okay. Thank you.
One of the things
Yes, Roosevelt?
we are 11 board members or 10?
10.
I just noticed in the minutes, when I went through the minutes, it said 11, and I wasn't for sure who the 11th one was.
It was the 10 on the.
Yeah, I know, they got them listed at 10, and you know, I don't know where I'm gonna find that at.
Is there a vacancy?
I don't know whether somebody didn't appoint or.
Does the staff know? Is
I
there a
believe
vacancy?
there is still a vacancy,
There you
but
go.
I will follow up. Cause I'm not sure if the same, it was 11 as a board.
Yes, okay, okay.
But we'll follow up.
As of today, it's 10,
Yes.
and we do have a quorum.
Yeah.
Last month we were 8 and 5 was a quorum, so I believe 6 would be a quorum. Any other questions, old business? Hearing none. Okay, well, we move to the new business. Well, I do have a comment. We have very big agenda, and I see some presentations from the staff. Particularly, we're gonna have a presentation on the meters, MAI replacement program, and we're gonna have a presentation on the consent order. So I believe some question would come up after those presentations if it comes to the new business. I know we asked the staff to give us monthly updates on some particular items, and this is very intense. There's a lot of, right now we have 48 pages of the attachments. So I like to simplify this way we can focus on the major milestones instead of just getting to the weeds and details, because all those items has been approved by the city. So if it's not new business, I would like to move with those two presentations and leave the time for the discussion at the end when we have a discussion, and maybe there would be some additional items that the board would like to discuss.
So you want to move forward?
No, we already approved agenda,
Yes,
but I don't hear any new business from the board members that we need to discuss right now.
okay. So we're just going it as.
We're just gonna go with the agenda, and, you know, if it's anything that we need to discuss, we just discuss it under number 6. Under committee members,
Yeah,
which is board members now. Okay. And for a record, I do have a Shane Grabsky present. Thank you, Shane.
thank you.
Okay, well, staff, Public Works Department update, asset management.
So they provided a memo in the backup.
Yes,
You guys had a chance to
Craig
review it.
Burnett provided a memo.
Do you have any questions regarding the information in the memo?
Yes. So why are we getting this?
You're getting this because it's been a while since any information was provided to you on the asset management or / city works. And in a previous meeting, it was asked for the information, so we've asked them to draft a memo to provide to the board.
I asked for like an update presentation from the City Works with a focus on how they're using that information across engineering. Like
Okay.
basically, we're gathering the information. I want to make sure we're using the information that we're gathering. So rather than just a one-time memo.
Unfortunately, our City Works administrator is being pulled into another meeting. It's not sure if he'll make it, but if you have any questions, I can.
No, we can do it in another meeting.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
You guys are fine with that.
So, but Greg, wasn't it on your list of projects, so to speak? So this is being reported like a separate report here because your list of ongoing capital projects is under number 3. We used to list this asset management as part of the projects.
That was a specific question. The last meeting I attended, which was February,
Yeah.
that what's going on with asset management specifically, which this letter seems to be, we'll be using it for. It's loaded, case.
Actually, having not been here for some time, I'm very gratified to see this, because asset management was one of the,
That was
I think it was like a very, very important issue in asset. That was almost practically back to the first consent order, setting up the asset management. So I'm glad that some of it is actually operational.
Yeah.
So there, progress has been made, but I think you've got a point. Okay, now that it's in the database, is there an example of how it's being used?
Exactly.
Okay.
And Jim,
Okay, yes.
my point is nearly the same. This seems to be a very complicated subject, and I can't make that much out of this memorandum. So we really do need to have the time in the future to have a presentation on it, because I don't understand it, and I also have a nasty suspicion that some of this work may be now overtaken by what things like artificial intelligence can do. So, we need to have a discussion on it.
Okay. So the memo by Craig Burnett, I'm hearing from the board members that's not sufficient. I do have some comments to the memo itself. Obviously, in the background, it says that the city initiated development of comprehensive utilities asset management system to support long-term sustainability, reliability, regulatory compliance. I think that was initiated due to requirement of the consent order. So that's the first line for me, and getting me on the agenda at the same package when you guys talking about the consent order, it's contradicting. It's pretty obvious that that's not necessarily true. I think there was asset management was implemented to fulfill the requirement of the consent order, which is says in later on under implementation. I'm sorry, consent order compliance, right? But it's just the deadline. I think there would, it's not. That would be nice to say the consent order was a direct reason why we, in 2020, we received this consent order. So I think there's some cleanup of this memorandum itself would be more helpful. But what I'm hearing from the staff, regardless, they're looking for a presentation on those updates. I understand that it's implemented. I understand the stormwater sewer is under operations. What I understand, there is a system of this is a living software. So it's a task order system that they're able to use on the tablets, workers, and kind of open the repair or the ticket, and then somebody would be dispatched to the area with the stormwater needs or the station needs. But I would be looking forward to that presentation. We can probably ask to be on the agenda. And I also want to know why exactly this is not implemented with the lift station system, alarm system. What I understand from this memo, this asset management is not working together with the collection system, specifically for the lift station. And it says direct integration with SCADA is not implemented due to security requirements. And I would like to have Mr. Craig to answer that. Obviously, I understand some of them may jeopardize the system, has to be a firewall, but there's also security in place, so the system can be on a network and specifically, send the alarm when we have a pump station not working on the pumps. But what I'm reading right now, there is not integrated, so the run times are not in use, which is major component for any future developments. So I'd like to give my input every time when there's a development happen in any municipality and there's expansion of the collection system required because there's a new tower built. The first question from the developers is, what is your runtime on this lift station that we're gonna be discharging? Because they need to look at to that data, the flow what is coming right now, to see if we can accommodate 20-story of the building next to that pump station. So seeing here that the run times are not there, so that means they may not be accurate. That would delay the developers because then they have to use another methods. They have to put actually sensors physically to measure that flow, and of course there's a different flow in the daytime and different flow at night and different flow during rain and different flow. So they may not be accurate. So I would like to have that answer at the next meeting during presentation. And
So
Peter?
I agree, but you must remember that as far as I know, at the individual development level, staff do look at run times.
Yes.
And what a proposed development is going to do to those, and they have a standard, but it is treated case by case.
Correct, and I'm not saying, of course they looked, and I appreciate they look, that's their job to look, but it's good if we have already software and we can be very accurate and very quick. We don't need to put, any sensors on the force main to figure out what's the flows coming to that station, because looks like this software has that capability, and it's not integrated because there is a security requirement. That could be
Which we don't understand.
correct, but I understand the security requirements are there in the wastewater treatment plant, water treatment plant. We all do, right? Somebody may jeopardize the system, may trigger some, but you have the safety brackets, how much you can, that could be triggered online, and there's also a way to integrate that network. So just for the, for the daily use, because we're in the 21st century. We all getting, you just mentioned about the AI, Vice Chair.
Thank you, sir.
But all this automatization must help us. So I would like to have more details how we can, implement it fully. Yes, Roosevelt.
Just want to make sure that we stay in order. Peter is asking for more detail, and I believe that you're asking for more detail. But in order to be in order, it need to be voted upon whether we need the presentation.
We need to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well,
Never
I
done
totally
it.
agree with that, so I move that.
Could I, before you make a motion?
Yes,
Could we also include in that, when that person
Uh-huh.
comes, a discussion of the pump station proposed for downtown Fort Lauderdale? They're looking for a site for a major pump station down in downtown somewhere. And the reason is because the current pump station is running 24 hours.
So
if
just
we're gonna
additional
have-
to offset the flow?
Yeah, so if we're going to have somebody here, that golden person who understands it, I think if we would add, when you make your resolution, if you would add a discussion about the status of the downtown pump station.
So Marilyn,
Excuse me if I may,
You want to-
Madam Chair.
Okay,
The city works is one.
yeah.
somebody's online.
We have Othniel from the staff, assistant director. Hello, Othniel.
Hi, how are you? And my apologies for not being there in person. So there's going to be an update given at the City Commission on the second meeting, not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from tomorrow, an update on the location of the A5, the 4 sites that were presented, and what are there some resolutions and potential locations that we have. So perhaps we can, by the time we meet next month, hopefully there's already a decision being made by the City Commission. So we could definitely provide that update then.
Okay, thank you, Othniel.
So we still need a motion, right?
But that's two separate
If
issues.
you want the presentation,
Asset
yes.
management presentation, and we would get an update from Othniel next meeting regards to that station.
All right.
So right now we need a
so the
motion just for the asset
does not need
management.
to reference the downtown pump station location.
Correct.
So I make a motion that we call to have a presentation on the asset management system, including the possibilities of the integration of that with the SCADA system.
I second that for the purpose of allowing staff opportunity to input.
I'd like to add, but I would also like to add to the request with a focus on how that data is used in operations and engineering.
Some
That's a long
examples.
motion, guys.
We should get that.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a motion.
You don't need a motion for that, but that's not part of what's on the table right now.
Okay.
But that can, when you ask for discussion, then you can put that in.
I have a question to city staff, general question.
We're going to have a motion.
You got a motion
Oh,
on the
we
table.
have a motion on the
Yeah.
table, okay.
You can ask for discussion and then we can talk about it.
Okay, there's a motion to have a presentation on the asset management updates.
In a second.
So are we in discussion now?
Not yet. As soon as you finish this, we are.
Oh, okay.
And it was
Motion
second.
was moved by Peter. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I second.
Roosevelt second. Okay, discussion, please.
Now we can go.
Okay. Greg, in this memorandum, they actually on the second page, easy to miss, they are discussing how they implement it. Or some implementation. But I agree with this motion because there's a big difference between sitting and reading a memo and talking to a live human being. So I support this motion.
And I've been involved with a lot of large databases creations in different businesses I've worked in. And we've created large data sets, and then the engineers don't have confidence in them, and then they don't use them, and then 2 years later, you've spent millions of dollars for nothing.
Right.
So the key is to make sure that the engineers that can use this feel confident in it, and that they are mandated by their management to actually use it.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that's, being addressed. That's it. I just want to make sure that we didn't do all this work that will be useless in a year or two.
Every time you go to conferences and they talk about this, they always say, it's the implementation, it's the keeping the data current, and it's the will to fund it and keep using it, so.
The leadership has to take it.
Right, so we have to be on this.
Okay, another discussion, comments, concerns
I would
to the
like
motion?
I would like to hear staff input.
Have a motion on the
Can you and will you provide the presentation at the next meeting?
To the best of our ability, we will definitely do that.
Okay.
Any other
Now we can
concerns?
vote.
To the motion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay. We didn't set the date for the presentation, but
Well, we
know,
have to
obviously
rely
the-
on availability of.
correct,
It
because,
doesn't have to be the next one.
correct. But we would like to have more information, okay. Well, that was a first that we vote for a motion to have presentation.
Did she vote? Did you have an opportunity?
I think she's
Lisa?
on mute.
Oh.
Can you hear us, Lisa? We can't.
Yes, I can hear you. I have you on mute. I mean, I have myself on mute. But yes, and yes, I vote for the presentation on the AMI. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next item is CIP Financial Report Bonds Quarterly Update.
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yes.
In my package from work is the water and sewer expansion, the impact fees summary. Is that under this item, this CIP financial report?
No, it's not. I believe the staff include the additional information for us because that's the impact fees, because at the last meeting specifically there was Lindsay that she was under the impression that they not paying anything. What they means developers, they're not paying anything, and it's the city cost for the infrastructure improvements. So we spoke about this last meeting, and I believe just staff gave us a update, which I appreciate that update. So we know how much it's coming to the utilities for from the developers for any impact fee.
Madam
But this
Chair?
money, it's, yes, Marilyn?
Yes, it's very good to get this number, and I've seen they've given us some cumulative numbers, like for the past 5 years. And it's not an insignificant amount of money, but knowing how much we collected is very interesting, but I'm more interested in knowing where we spent it.
What do you see
What did we
5
use the
years,
money for?
Marilyn? What do you see 5 years?
No, I'm saying I've seen previously 5-year cumulative charts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and this is just the 1 year, which, you know, it's not an insignificant amount of money. But again, I know there are limitations on where you can spend it. I
Correct.
spend a great deal of time explaining to people that there are limitations. But
That-
given that, I'd like to know where we spent that money.
Agree. And I'm glad we have an Oatmeal online and we talk about the new lift station. So as you know, this money can be only spent for any additions to the system, expansions of the system. So I believe if that new lift station downtown, we can utilize this money.
I would like an
But
answer.
I would
to
like
that,
to
Rose.
hear Oatmeal comment.
Correct. So the impact fees can only be utilized for underground water and sewer. I believe what we're asking for is where we are expending all the funds that had been going into that account. I'll work with our finance team to see how we can provide that information, similarly to how we provided the other bonds, the water and sewer bond, the stormwater bond, and the special. We see where the different projects where money was allocated for. So we'll see how we can provide that information also for the impact fees.
That'd be fabulous. Thank you.
Well, that's a great update. Thank you, Oatmeal. Excellent.
Of course.
I think the
And I know we wanted some graphs, but when I met with our finance team, since there's a lot of information, they recommended that this would be the best way to show it. So if you guys have any feedback of how you guys would like to see that information, please let us know, and then we can make that those changes for the next quarterly update.
Thank you, Oatmeal. Like I said before, I don't want to create more work for the staff. I think, I know you guys busy working in the city, but even in this format, I think we can all figure out the numbers. It's sufficient.
And they have to do it anyway. They have to report. So
Correct.
the data's there. It's not like
It's
they have to go
just
find it.
bringing to the,
Something fell down.
Marilyn, your
I
name
fell
tag.
down.
All right, so impact fees, any comments on that one? So we can move to the I'm hearing none. Can we move to CIP financial report? That's the deed sheet. Oh, they actually attached the agenda, perfect. I was wondering how I can see it.
So, Madam Chair, as I mentioned, this is the three bonds that we have within our department.
Okay,
We have them cumulative at the top, and then the different projects where funding has been allocated to. And then also the percent of the funding that already has been spent. The infrastructure bond, it does not look like much has been spent. However, that's the newest bond that we have. And we've been working internally, because that bond is for both things, for sidewalk repairs and also for new sidewalks in the city, as well as also roadway reconstruction. Also, on an annual basis, we get funding for those same things, for sidewalk repairs and what's it called, and roadway reconstruction. So that way we've been trying to utilize both buckets of money, but now after the second quarter of this year, we're gonna start ramping up. So we should see those percentage going out, so money spent on that bond.
okay, excellent, Oatmeal. So
How much is the infrastructure bond, Neil?
this is the last sheet.
Yeah.
Is it?
For the green,
It was 16.1 for roadway and 11.8 for sidewalks. There's also, just so you guys are aware, when the money was allocated into the different accounts, they were transposed. So the amount of money that should have gone for sidewalks actually went for roadway, and the money that went for roadway that was supposed to be for roadway went to sidewalks. So there's going to be a budget amendment in May that is going to rectify those numbers, so that way you'll see that. So if you see a budget amendment related to the infrastructure bond, That's what that is.
Oh, I'm disappointed to hear that because I thought it was so tremendous that we were gonna allocate $28 million for sidewalks. So that's really an error?
It's 11.8. That's what was approved by the city commission.
I don't see
For
11.8
side-
anywhere.
And that includes sidewalk repairs and new sidewalks. $2 million were allocated district.
Mr. Rodriguez, I don't see 11 point something anywhere.
So every district got $2 million. That money either depend.
I have a question about the special obligation bond series.
Sorry, say that again.
About this bond series, Series 2025. Wasn't that a much bigger bond than just roads and bridges? I believe it was like $130 million, that bond. Where did?
It was a much bigger bond. It was over 100,000.
100,000, where is it down?
Small pronounced bottom.
Ah, okay. So, we're
And
only
there were
talking-
different.
You're only reporting on a portion of that bond money. Correct?
That money was allocation for it, but it was only the 16.8.
Sorry.
Correct. The portion that.
You're breaking up, Otniel.
Yeah.
So can you repeat what you just said, please?
Is associated.
No, that's not
No.
working.
Well, we losing you out here.
The first line kind of explains what I think he was trying to say, that
Yeah.
this budget's for the public works portion.
Okay,
Of the
so there was
special obligation bonds.
$110 million that we approved to bonds, but of that, only 36,000 something, 36 million something is in our bailiwick, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is correct. That is a correct statement.
alrighty.
Where in this?
I don't see the 11 million.
Where's the sidewalk?
What we're
So
seeing here is
roadways-
roadways is 28 million and bridges is 7 million, and that totals 36 million minus the change. And I think I heard you say that it's really a reverse. That it's really 7 million for the roads and $28 million for the bridges, again, totaling 36 minus the change. Am I reading this right?
When we look at roadways, that includes the sidewalk reconstruction and the roadway improvements. The 16.8 and 11, I mean the 16.1 and 11.8. And then the other one is the
Break that
bridges.
number up. I got it. I got you. Thank you
Correct.
so much for the clarity.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's
Yes, and
That's
we,
what it
you guys, I mean, the board members can see that in the index code. Like the first project is the annual concrete paver stone contract. That's the 8 million, so that's the sidewalks, which is included in the green under the roadways. So it's the color coding is critical here. Like follow the green, follow the yellow.
So the green should not be just roadway improvements.
Correct.
It could be
They
roadway and
include
sidewalks.
as roadway.
Okay.
Correct.
Can I ask
Correct.
Roadway improvements.
what is,
And when we talk about sidewalks, there's new sidewalks and also sidewalk repairs.
Both.
Correct.
first line on that sheet, annual concrete and paver stones contract, what's that cover?
Concrete repairs.
The concrete is the concrete repairs for sidewalks. That's the contract. That's the contract that we have where we perform the sidewalk repairs. So that's where the money was loaded into, for us to be able to utilize the money.
Okay.
Okay, I have another question. We used to fund those sidewalk repairs through the general fund. Are we now taking all of the burden for repairing the sidewalks in this bond? Or are we still, I believe we used to put in about $1.5 million every year. Remember Jill Prisley used to say this?
That still will continue to be the case.
So it will be more than this. It will be still continued that capital budget contribution?
That is correct.
Excellent.
So in summary then, the infrastructure bond is nearly $37 million, which is within the purview of this infrastructure board, correct?
Yes.
This is new scope.
So, Othniel, I have a question. It says city of 2025. So, when the bond was approved, there was approved for 110 million in a multiple series, or there was already 2025 series was 110 and allocated 36 million to public works?
So it was the 110 all combined. That was approved in 2025.
Okay.
And then out of the approximately 110, 37 million was allocated to infrastructure improvements.
Okay, so, entire city.
Still curious to know where the other money went.
Me too.
That is part of a memo where the city commission approved it. We'll be more than happy to share that memorandum
Please.
with the board.
I think we are curious where is another 60, 70 million going.
I know that a big chunk of that money went to complete the fire station. I believe also the police station. I may be wrong, but there was all other buildings that were funded out of that infrastructure bond. But we can share that memo if it has those details.
Okay.
So, just to clarify, some years ago, we asked at that time, committee, now the board, I would assume that we're gonna continue to ask, when money is moved from one project to another project, that we be provided with where the money came from, what is left after that money was taken from the previous project, where the money is going, and the total cost of that particular project. And we used to get that on a monthly basis. If it's possible, I still would like to know. You know, I got a little bit of money. I can count that, but you guys talking in the millions and the millions. That's too much money for me to just keep in my head. I'd like to see it on paper.
Roosevelt, I'm sorry, but that's attached. That's the sheets here with the bond. So we already have those updates for the projects.
But I wanna continue to get, you're moving money.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I don't think we need every meeting, maybe quarterly.
Well,
Yeah, because
I just wanna make sure that
we're moving
I
the
can
needle.
follow the dollar. That's important to me.
I agree, but
I'm not blaming anybody, but money is not distributed in this city equally. And what they have said in the end of last year and the beginning of this year, there were going to be a closer look at where the money is needed rather than where it's located in the city. That's all I'm asking.
Can I make a
I'm sorry.
suggestion?
Greg was first, then Peter, and then Marilyn. I'm sorry.
So, Mr. Rodriguez, in the last meeting, we talked more about bridges. And I thought there was like a $16 million conversation about bridge grant money. Is that additional funding that's gonna go towards bridge maintenance?
Yes.
Yeah, the projects that I mentioned in our last meeting are 4 bridges that do have grants associated with it, where FDOT is paying 75% and the city is paying 25% of that. But that is not in the 25% that the city's contribution is not bond money. It's coming out of the general fund.
Thank you, thanks.
Okay, Peter?
So, it's a good point that, Matt, we shouldn't jump to conclusions, is the first thing, because Othniel is not saying he's 100% sure. The difference between 110 million and 37 million is substantial. And since this bond says on it infrastructure bond, we should really know where the difference between the 110 and the 37 million has gone. And in theory, as I've said before, when they're moving money around, they do go to the commission and say we're moving from this fund to that fund. a lot of it is very small amounts. This is a substantial amount. So this is the sort of thing that it would be nice to know about because it is many tens of millions of dollars.
So, okay. As Mr. Rodriguez says, there is a memo. When they agreed to go with the bonds, there was a breakdown. So all you need, I mean, nobody's gotta do research. All they gotta do is find that memo and put it in the packet next month. To your concern, every time there is one of these movements, there's a memorandum from the city manager to the commission telling them where they're moving the money. All you gotta do is go back to January and get every one of those CAMs, put them in a little package quarterly, and we'll be able to trace all that money for you.
Okay, I want the package.
Okay, you want the package.
That's all I want.
Okay,
Help me keep track of the money. I can't count with.
that's not a lot of work, that's just pulling out the CAMs and putting copies.
Yes, but that's the internal memo the staff is sending, obviously the city manager, the commissioners. I don't wanna ask to, you guys notice it, we ask for a lot last month. Today we have 48 pages of the attachments, and I wanna ask to work efficiently, because us reading a memos that's supposedly be made to the commissioners, we can obtain ourselves online. And I think we getting off the focus because we be going like a control agency here right now, because we can't control those decisions. But I agree, Ms. Marilyn said correct, that the list of the projects was there when the issuance of the bond was on the agenda. We can go back to this project. I don't believe there's a money missing somewhere. There was just, those allocations were already made back then, and we just missed that point, so we don't know right now where the another 70 million went. So we can refresh that memo, we can attach that memo, but I don't wanna create more work for our staff. And having copies of the memos that they're being made to the mayor or the commissioners, we can obtain ourselves online. I see Lisa hand. Yes, Lisa, you go. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam. Yeah, I just have one question regarding the infrastructure bond. I noticed that there's a seawall replacement on there. Is it safe to assume in the future that the infrastructure for sidewalks and roads will also include seawall improvements, and would that be building them to the new standards?
Lisa, can you refer where you see the seawall replacement?
It is right below the yellow one, the only yellow one in there.
Oh, project?
It's under project, so.
Under the special obligations bond, series 2025, I think it's the one we've been discussing.
Last page, Mark.
Last page.
Yeah.
Not that one.
One more.
One more.
And that question was for Oatmeal. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right.
Read it in yellow. Mark.
In your hand.
There you go.
Yeah, that's fine. Can you rephrase the question? What was the
Yeah, my
question
question
you asked?
is that I'm understanding that this bill or this bond includes infrastructure improvements for sidewalks and roads. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is seawalls going to be part of that as well?
Well, I would say, this is me speaking, if a roadway improvement or a sidewalk improvement required an improved seawall, then it would be. But otherwise, they're not looking beyond the road or the sidewalk for inadequate seawalls.
Right. It kind of goes to what everybody was speaking about, is like, how do we make these implements and these changes? Like, my assumption is that that's an emergency repair that needs to be done. They may not have had the funding, and this was a good place to maybe get it from. So, and that's an assumption on my part. And maybe I'm wrong. So, because there is no other seawall, and I would imagine there's a lot of seawall.
There were seawall projects that were underfunded. So part of this bond made those projects whole. Also, there's also another project that we have within our seawall replacement. So
Okay.
I-
So we internally, there's an account within that project where when there's a specific, or it's somehow higher, or we need additional funding.
Okay.
Sorry?
We're losing you, Otnil, again. But this is the project Las Olas Marina seawall replacement.
Which likely had a large sidewalk portion that was required to have the seawall at the right elevation. Just like the stormwater assessment had seawalls that were critical to drainage. So I think the seawalls are gonna travel with the need.
Stormwater, or
If
it's gonna
storm,
travel
or if
here
it's
with the
critical
sidewalk.
for a pavilion like the marina. That's, like Peter said, it's gonna be, if it's critical to roadway, it'll be roadway. If it's critical
Correct.
to stormwater, it'll be stormwater. There's some rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
Let
Roosevelt?
me ask you for the rhyme or the reason. Either one you can give me, it'll be just fine. Here's the problem. The money that's in here does not include privately owned seawalls. And
Right.
if privately owned seawalls involve a length of street, then you got unfunded situations and there.
So street would only be in the right of way. You would never have a privately owned seawall that is critical to right of way.
I'm not sure of that, but I'm gonna take your word for it.
I shouldn't say that with 100% certainty because there might be a case where a corner abuts a right of way.
Of
But
course.
typically speaking, any seawall that would be critical to a roadway would also be in publicly owned land.
And I just wanna make sure that we understand that we are not talking monies for privately owned seawall, enhancement, whether living or dead.
It's not. All the seawalls that we're working on are on the public right of way. There's no seawalls being reconstructed by the city
It's not.
in private property.
I'm working
We
on
could
it.
keep working
Thank you,
on it.
Otnil. Shane? Not Shane, I'm sorry, Greg. Shane spoke.
Going back to the stormwater revenue bond, the Victoria Park line.
Yeah.
The Victoria Park. So the project's 6% complete, budget's 19 million. Encumbrances of 30 million, so we're almost $4 million negative. So are these change orders that have come in already associated with this project? Are we already underwater here? Literally under a flood treatment plan? I mean, the amount of work going on in Victoria Park is insane. It's great, but
You're talking about the project
project,
10850?
1P102082
102, hold on.
So it's under construction, 6% done. It's the one all the way to the right, remaining balance negative of 11 million.
I'm sorry, so this is
This page. Yeah, that page.
stormwater, okay. Victoria Park?
Seven down.
Okay. So, what is your concern again, Greg? I'm
My
sorry.
question is this project already underway? It's considerably under budget.
Well, you have a construction, correct? 6%?
6% done, budget 19 million, actuals, encumbrances 30 million, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, could somebody,
What that means was awarded for 30 million and there was budget for 19. So that's why we have negative balance of 11 million, and that 11 million, it's gonna have to come from a reallocation. So what that means, it's under construction, there was awarded, I mean, I'm just speaking.
Well, that's my question, I
Experience.
understand that part, so.
So the project will happen. The cost of the project, that's your encumbrance, which is 30 million. And looks like there is a negative balance, but that's gonna have to be somehow reconciled from another budget avenue. Otnil, do you have any answer to that, better than what I said?
I would like to come back to that one, because I'll have to confirm with our finance department. My understanding is that this project is full. There's no funding gap, for Victoria Park. It just initiated construction earlier this year, which is why the actuals, which is the money that we've actually liquidated, it's so low. But if you allow me to get back, next month, I could give an answer to that specific project.
Okay.
Yeah, we just wanna understand what that 30 million, what the word encumbrances means on the sheet? Is it
Correct.
process job change
It
orders?
means allocated. It means
Set aside.
somebody's got an idea, that money will be definitely needed, either
The PO was
contractually or
PO's
close
issued.
to that.
So then I'll take it one step further. What did we miss when we quoted?
Well, when you look at the remaining balance for all the budget for the stormwater, you still have a surplus, right? Because you didn't start 2 projects here, so it's just a matter of reallocating money. I believe.
That's why you need those memos.
Correct.
Who
No.
reallocated to what?
No,
Yeah. And then
I wanna know where, when they find this 11
they
million, I wanna know where it's
they
coming from.
documented all. It's all
I-
documented.
Yes.
I
And
appreciate
with
it.
all due respect, the project could go to the bid. The engineering estimate was 19 million, and the lowest bidder was 30 million, and the next bidder was 55. So there's quite often estimate from the engineering staff. It's doesn't really meet the reality when the project is actually going to the bid. So, but I'm happy that we all happy that the Victoria Park is getting some improvements as needed and
I don't think we
stuff.
can step back a bit further than that, because when they put the list together, someone comes and says, we're going to go for a bond for whatever. Can you come up with a list of projects? So the first step is coming up with a list of projects and a guesstimate that goes into how they can constitute the exact amount that is needed. When the money comes through, then somebody's got to go out and refine that work and get down to the scope, and it can be a long way off. It's not just that when it is bid, it comes in a lot higher or something. It is that early on, the scope is not necessarily that well defined.
The project
Exactly.
immediately
You just
above is
said-
26 the other way, so.
I
But
mean,
it's
The project right above is 26 million the other way, so that's only a design. It'd be a bust between design and construction.
I never
I agree.
understood commitments and actuals and encumbrances. I've never understood that. It's just like.
Financial thing.
We're not the budget people.
well, and also to be cautious, but when you going to the bids, you have the estimate amount, right? You have that in a budget, which is transparent. It has to be in an advertisement. If you tell the contractor that you have 50 million, most likely they're gonna have a 50 million. You kind of you wanna have that as accurate as possible, but in reality, it's always on the lower end. I have really not seen the bids that they come in below the budget. Maybe I'm wrong. I shouldn't be saying 100% like Shane. He's 100% with the seawalls. But you have that kind of safety brackets for a reason. You want to have an accurate cost. You're thinking it's going to cost you 20 million. You're going with the advertisement. Depends from the demand of the market. If the contractor is busy, he has to drop another job. He's probably going to have to increase the price because the demand is there. So it's a lot of different factors. So I'm not really upset that those numbers are mismatched at this point. I'm happy the project is on.
So, Chair, can we go back? We've discussed the infrastructure.
Okay,
On
page.
the first page, Neil, I think, said we have 3 bonds that are attached to this here. So, the first page, big amounts of money on, 400 million. That is 2 bonds. That's correct. I'd like to get an understanding of the 2 bonds, what they are called, and whether everything is captured in that first part of the spreadsheet there in summary. Neil, can you help us on that?
Sorry, I did not quite hear that. Can you repeat that?
So this item is about bond expenditure, and there are 3 bonds that we are considering. We have heard about the infrastructure bond. Now there are 2 other bonds. What are they called, and what is their amount of money of each of them, And is that amount of money captured in the first half of this spreadsheet here on the very first page of this?
So the three bonds is the stormwater bond, that was taken, the last one was taken for Fortify Lauderdale Phase 1. There's the water and sewer bond, and those two bonds are very specific. Like the names call for, they can only be utilized for stormwater improvements, and the other one can only be utilized for water and sewer improvements. And then there's a third bond, which is a special obligation bond, which funds projects that would have been funded out of the general fund. That's the only bond that has other categories outside that would fall outside of the scope of this board. So to answer your question, yes, the first two bonds, the stormwater and water and sewer, the numbers you see there, it's what those were what the bonds were taking out for. The infrastructure bond or the special obligation bond, it's a little different in that regard.
And they were for what, 200 million each, or what, the bonds? Stormwater bond was how much, Neil?
I believe it was in the 200 numbers.
Yeah. 202.
And
You have here.
the stormwater was a little over 200, and then the water and sewer was a little over 400 million.
Over 400.
Yeah, this sheet.
So
Okay,
this-
so the members, this sheet, water and sewer, that's the band for water and sewers. Only water and sewer. The white sheet is the stormwater, that's separate band, that's over 200. And there is a third band, which is called infrastructure. That's the infrastructure band for 110 million. This is this sheet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for my visual. This sheet is, and looks like roadways and sidewalks are here, and that's 36 million allocated. Seawalls as well, only for a public land when it's related to the sidewalk or the roadway.
And
Okay, so that's the three bonds.
And Neil, both these bonds are involved in the fulfillment of the consent orders. Is that correct?
Which both?
Both of these bonds are being
We have
used.
three bonds.
Well,
Water, there's only the only bond
stormwater and the water sewer are the ones.
water and sewer. The stormwater bond has nothing to do with the consent order.
Right, it's only.
The stormwater fund has everything to do with Fortify Lauderdale. The water and sewer fund has some funding that are in line with the consent order. Some of the projects will address concerns that were brought up in the consent order.
Remember when we started this, Peter?
Yes.
The first one was the 200 million for consent order.
So, but are there three consent orders now, or two?
Well, we're gonna hear that at the presentation.
That would be an update by utilities today.
Okay.
I have a director here. Director,
There's a-
science.
Yeah, there's a water consent order, there's a wastewater consent order that's been amended twice. Okay, well, excuse me, amended once, we have a second amendment that's pending. So, we have.
Okay, thank you. Well, we do have a agenda item, consent orders, and we have a presenter here, so we can discuss the details of the consent order during the presentation.
The only point is that the rate of progress on the expenditure of the bonds must have some relationship to how quickly we're getting through the consent orders. And it's always been a question in my mind, when are we going to finish one of these consent orders up completely and just wrap it up and down to only two consent orders? So we seem to go on and on and on with consent orders.
Okay. We can answer those questions during presentation. For sure, it's that sheet would help to see which one are consent order. Any more questions on financial report band related? Comments, concerns?
I just have one comment to make, maybe just end it on a positive note. I mean, bravo to the city for investing over, nearly $1 billion on their underground utilities infrastructure. I'm not used to seeing that kind of investment made and actually executed. So, I mean, bravo to you guys. Well done. Just keep up the good work. I'm sure it'll pay it dividends in the long run.
Thank you, Lisa.
Not free.
Okay. All right. So that was our quarterly update, I guess. Move on. Then next item is the list of ongoing capital projects. Quarterly update. Which one would be list? I haven't printed myself. Capital projects. Is that the same list that it's with the bond?
No, Madam Chair. There's a separate document that was an attachment that has an update on the different projects that we have been speaking on for the past few meetings. It's very quick updates of where we are with some of those projects, whether we're in the design phase or in the construction phase. So if you guys have any specific questions, I'm here to answer any of them.
Oh, okay.
That's the page in
Oh,
five.
yes, that's like a memo page. Okay, perfect. Yeah, have that. Any questions?
No question on the Victoria Park work that's going on, seeing a huge amount of work. Any surprises that you guys are seeing that are coming out of the projects?
I wouldn't say surprises per se. There was a recent water main break by the contractor sometime last week, but they were able to address it quickly. But everything is moving as planned, other than that unforeseen circumstance.
How is the seawall master plan funded?
The Seawall Master Plan is funded out of the general fund.
Unless it's connected to a roadway project in which it comes out of the other.
And then as part of that, since the general fund is very limited as to the amount of money that we can get every year for improvements, we always are looking for other funding availabilities, like grants from FDOT, the federal funds, and also fine. So a lot of the projects right now, whether it be bridges or seawalls that are moving forward, a lot of them with grants that the city has been able to secure. And
any update from the director on the water treatment, the new water treatment plant? It's written up here, but we can get the absolutely latest.
Excuse me, I'll introduce myself. I'm Albert Carbon. I'm the Utilities Services Director. The Prospect Lake Water Treatment Plant is currently going through operational testing. That is going very well, by the way, and is scheduled to go full operations mid-September 2026. We are getting our last set of chemicals tomorrow night. Some of the chemicals that we'll need for pre-treatment, necessary for pre-treatment, are being purchased. So we'll start pilot testing, or not pilot, scale testing those through the processes, and then still be ready to be operational September of 2026.
Are all the connections going well? The new connection from the new plant to the old plant?
The pipeline is complete. The final connection is scheduled to start mid next week. I just talked to my staff about getting the exact date. It'll be about 2 weeks to make that final connection. The pipeline's in at 5 Ash. It's making the connections to the 2 existing tanks, so we don't have to shut down the system to make that connection. But that's been approved and is pending, and materials are already arrived, so we're scheduling that for next week or 2 weeks. So by the end of April, we should be in good shape.
Bravo.
Yes.
When you have the connections from the pumps, et cetera, do you have a sort of a secondary line in case there's not that any FP&L or somebody like that would come along and break into the one single pipe, but I mean, as a backup alternate in case something does happen, you have another means of transmitting the water from the pumps.
Not right now, we don't have it. What the plan is, the plan, when the treatment plant was scaled up, was that the new pipeline would come in, going from Prospect to Five Ash, and that the existing raw water line from Prospect to Five Ash would be rehabilitated after Prospect. When Five Ash is taken off service, would be about this time next year. We'll still have it'll be, and then when that goes, and then somewhere in probably fiscal year 28, 29, that line will be rehabbed as a secondary feed line from Prospect Lake.
What's the plan?
That's the plan.
Keep the planes off of it.
So I have a question, Director. For the on the balance sheet, we have some allocated 9 million, particularly those 23 for the, but we still have remaining balance of 9 million for Five Ash upgrades.
For Five Ash upgrades, I'd have to check, Chair, I'd have to check with you.
Looks like there's some remaining balance of 9 million. So with this new plant being online, what I understand, we would use the Five Ash still, the high service pumps, the ground storage would be in the Five Ash for the distribution. However, do we see any other needs for this 9 million upgrades?
There's Chair, that's a correct statement, that there is a project out there for Five Ash to get a new high service pump station and a new 5 million gallon tank. Okay. Where that $9 million is associated with that project is currently estimated, I think it's $66 million. Yeah, so I don't know if that funding that's shown in that on this project is related to that or not. But yes, that is a true statement that we still have that project that's 90% design right now. But that's not integral to starting up Prospect Lake. That's just giving us additional storage and replacing service pumps.
Okay. And I have a question about the Peel Dixie. Are we gonna be using any infrastructure from Peel Dixie and the storage and the high service rooms?
Peel Dixie will continue to operate as it is right now.
Okay.
It currently averages about 6 MGD a day. We have the capability going up to 12 MGD a day, depending on the need and the distribution system. Five Ash still has more pumping capability and more pressure capabilities. So Peel Dixie water does stay in that southwestern portion of the city.
How are we going to meet the PFAS requirement in the Peel Dixie?
Peel Dixie's a nano membrane
Has
plant
its nano already?
yeah,
Okay.
right now, so it already meets the.
Okay. Okay, Roosevelt first, Marilyn, and Stacy. I'm sorry, Lisa.
At our last meeting, Mrs. Elfman brought up the fact that the commission believed and sometimes even say that once all this work is done, then everybody will have beautiful and clear water. And he brought up the fact that the staff should educate the commission on the fact that if you got galvanized pipes going from the street, cast iron going from the street to your sink, you're not going to have clear water. And if you kind of somewhat guarantee that, then we're going to have a problem trying to justify not having clear water. So is staff trying to educate the commission on that issue?
You're trying to educate the public on that issue. We experienced the same thing that when Peel Dixie went in line. Peel Dixie has the same menu of pipe sizes, pipe types, pipe materials as we have throughout the distribution system. We had that same issue as we turned on Peel Dixie at that time frame. Is that you did experience some color disturbances during that initial month time frame, and then after that it cleared up. So, and we got all clear water in the southwestern portion of the state. We expect that same type of thing to happen at Prospect, and we're trying to minimize that by going through educational process and doing some treatment to our existing distribution system. So we're going through all of those cycles right now. We are working with our strategic communication department to start that outreach program sometime in May and June. We don't want to get it too early, set the expectations high, get them more while we're going to get that treatment plan in September.
Thank you. Madeline, no?
No, he answered my question.
Okay, excellent. Lisa?
Yes, yeah, I think another bravo too. I mean, you guys are building in some redundancy by improving the existing once you open up the new one. So that's, I mean, I know that doesn't come without a cost, but the fact that you're considering that redundancy is pretty awesome. Also, I'm going backwards a little bit, back to the master plan. And I know most master plans from my experience are just roadmaps. You know, like where do the city officials, the people that are in charge of making sure that the greater good is taken care of, and, you know, including everything, right? Infrastructure, roadways, everything. With that said, how often are your master plans updated? Is it a change of command, or is it every 10 years? And also, can I get a copy of it?
Albert?
Water and wastewater or stormwater?
Actually, if you don't have it all bundled up together, then I'd like to see that seawall one for sure.
So the seawall master plan is available in our city's website,
Okay.
and we'll be more than happy to share that link.
Yep, that'd be fine. I can find
yeah.
it as long as if it's not that deep. Sometimes those things are buried pretty deep.
No,
But
what we'll do is we'll make sure that we send a link that has all of our seawalls. I mean, all of our master plans from our department.
okay, great. And then again, how often are those updated? Like,
It depends.
10 years.
It varies depending on the scope. Some are updated every 10 years. Because mind you, a lot of the projects that we have, a master plan can have a length of time for it to be implemented. So some of the master plans that I've worked on can be implemented within 15 years. I know Fortified Lauderdale Phase 2, where it's a 15-year plan. So the master plan would be updated until after that time period. So it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, so it's still just a roadmap, right? It doesn't come with funding. This
Correct. Yes. It is the very first step in order for the city to plan accordingly from a financial perspective.
Roger. Thank you.
Director, other comments on this?
I just thought that our last water and wastewater master plan was published in 2019 using 2017 data. We currently have a consultant that's been selected, and we're going through the review, negotiation of the scope of work, which we expect to be to commission in September 2026. So it'll be about an 8-year cycle on the data type setup. So for a 20-year master plan, so that's about right. About halfway through, you want to reevaluate your roadmap, if you will.
Okay, Madeline?
I saw an item on the commission's agenda for $10 million for a consultant. Is that the consultant that you're getting?
No, that's a item on having to do with a pool of consultants to assist on
That's just the pool.
Continuing our asset management system
Thank
update.
you. Thank you.
That's not no.
Okay. Gerald?
Only because I wasn't fast enough when Greg gave me the cue. Being a resident of Victoria Park, I'm genuinely grateful, as are many of the neighbors, for the amount of love you guys have been showing us in the water lines and
Lots of love.
the storms water system. Several of us have a request that every once in a while you guys drive out there and drive your detours. And the reason some of us are asking that is because Victoria Park has a unique system of stop signs and stop signage. And as soon as you disrupt that flow with detour signs,
I know I've lived there for 15 years, and you memorize where the stop signs are and not. But somebody that's new to the park and a detour structure think that they have the right of way. So, and I've driven around in circles because of the detours.
Oh, the detours are terrible.
So, somebody should go out and actually drive the detours.
My previous employer, I made somebody on my staff drive it every day. Because signs would be knocked down, and usually the first time you put up a detour signage, it doesn't work. There's always one outside, so I agree with you, and we will make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Okay. Othniel? No, we good?
No, yes, like Albert said, I'll get with our project manager to ensure that that happens periodically and to make sure that, that the MOT makes sense from a drivability perspective.
Correct. And I believe your office approves that MOT.
No, it's.
The MOT is approved by the transportation department.
Okay. Mobility?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Okay, any other comments to the upgrades on the CIP? Hearing none. Excellent. Utility Service Department update. MAI smart meters. Staff, I believe we have a presentation. Excellent. I'm ready for that.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ingrid Kinbom. I am the program manager for the Smart Water Meter Program. And I brought Smart Water Meter. Okay.
Ah,
Oh, show and tell.
Oh, show and tell, show and tell.
I do show and
the previous one were not so smart.
I'm gonna disconnect the antenna because it's so hard to move around, but it's attached here. There. And I want to point out that you lift the lid here, and then you can read the meter. So you can, when you pass it around. So,
So that antenna is attached to the box?
it's attached to the box. So why smart water meters matter and what AMI is and how it works. The program scope for this whole project, we're going to talk about that and the delivery and where we're at today, the status, and what you can expect as neighbor to see over the next few years. So why smart water meters matter? I think you're pretty educated in why, because it's been a long time coming for the city. We will definitely be able to, we will be able to do to read near real-time water consumption, which will help a lot with continuous flow, leaks, or any other issues instead of having to wait months for a manual read. It's going to be accurate and transparent billing because you will be able eventually to log in to your engagement portal and you can see your own consumption, kind of like you can do with FPL. I believe if you're set up with that. You will also be, by having that access on a near real time, you will understand consumption patterns. I've already had people that call and said, I'm not spending this much water and I'm going in and I look and I say, well, seems like you have sprinklers coming on at 4 a.m. every other day. It's like, I have sprinklers, but I don't have them on. And then I said, you set the timer set the alarm for 4 a.m. tomorrow, and I didn't hear back from him. So you can understand consumption patterns, and I've talked to some people that have really become educated in how much water they spend without thinking about it. Long showers or washing clothes every day instead of every 3-4 days. So it's an educational process. For us, for the city, of course, it matters because we don't have to do any manual meter readings anymore. And we can do remote connect and disconnect when you move in or out, or if there is some billing issues. Yes?
Quick question, if I have a plumber working in my house, they break something, is there a way that we could call in and ask for the water to be turned off by the city remotely? Like, I know we caused the problem, can you turn it off quickly? Do we have a number?
It would have to be a policy decision that I'm not sure of, because
That's why you have a house valve, Craig.
Yeah, you can still turn it off, you can still turn it off by your house.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you look into that meter, how it works.
This is not intention for that.
When we turn it off remotely, it's actually a little valve in there, and if you look through, and it's a little ball that closes that valve. If you look through now, it's open, so.
It's open.
You still.
Yeah, I know how to turn it off now,
Yeah.
right? I saw a situation where my neighbor didn't know how to do that,
Oh, okay.
and they had a plumbing break, and I knew we were putting these in, I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could say, call this number, they'll turn off your water for you.
Okay.
We're gonna have to.
Educate your neighbor how to close it.
They own a house.
You know, this is not intent for that.
I turned it off for him, right?
So here's just an example how we can see the consumption. So the top line there, it's from November 27th to January 27th. And you can see there is a big spike there about January 6th. Otherwise, the pattern is pretty steady and repetitive. And then on the lower graph there, I just made it a little shorter, the time span from January 1st to January 27th, so you can drill in, and you can actually even drill into the nearest 15 minutes if you want to see. You're going to be able to say exactly when that leak or that spike started, and that helps people remember, yeah, I did water my tree that time or something. So it's just an illustration for that.
Sorry, is the website that they can log in to see this data, is that up yet?
It is not up yet.
When's the plan for that?
The plan is that it won't be up until all the meters are installed, which is going to be by mid-2027.
Mm-hmm.
But we have access, we actually have started some proactive continuous flow monitoring that we notify people if there is a continuous flow. We call and email.
So is that gonna be up for the customers that they can sign in and watch their own?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Is the overall network, wireless network that this connects to, is the whole network up or
Yes,
just part
the
of it?
network is up. We have 6 base stations. We have installed, so I just looked it up, 4,094 meters per today.
Okay.
So it's all up and reading. And here's the network. I'm gonna just go over that. So you turn on your water.
I just have one question. Is there a battery in this or something?
Yes.
Oh, so how long is that battery gonna last?
15 years.
And the battery belongs to you if it goes bad, it's you, the city. The city will come out and replace the battery?
The meter will be replaced if something goes bad with the battery.
Does it read 0 when the battery goes bad?
Nice point, Peter. No.
I got my eyes on you. We have all kinds of alarms built in. It says if the communication is not working, if it's low battery. So we will know if something goes wrong.
Sorry, another question. A new house, if you're building a new house and they're doing a new water connection, are they getting a new one?
Yes.
Or are
Yes.
they waiting till the neighbor gets upgraded?
We haven't put in any old meters, Jason, since last August or something. Yeah, we didn't want to buy any new old meters when we were going to replace them. Yes.
I'm one of the directors in Imperial Point where you started initially, and I've got quite a lot of complaints about after the new meter was installed that their bill was astronomical. And there was one lady, in fact, I was on this, I guess it started on 64th Street and then 63rd Court, and then it went south. I noticed that, here, I got my water bill here, and it shows that after it was installed, it's like peaked about 3 times higher than the consumption graph showed like about 3 times more than my average usage. And the people that have come to me, I said, well, you know, what has happened, the old ones, they had to replace them because the cups, the water was getting by them and the city was getting gypped out of the water. But now, and then of course, that just got me in trouble because they said, oh, now they're trying to make up for it or something. And I said, no, it's supposed to be a lot more accurate flow. Question I have is some concern for my neighbors and people in the Imperial Point is the fact that how accurate was the individual who was trying to, you know, take a reading off the old and establish that into the new, because
Well, if you have a 3 times more consumption since it was installed, I want to look into it because that's not realistic. That's not.
well, like one lady across from me, she had an additional $500 on her water bill, and I can show you this thing, but I mean, it's,
So Ralph, can you advise your neighbor to call to the?
well, that's what I did.
Billing?
Eventually, I
Because this
did.
is not
I
a
don't-
matter of the board.
We had one that was $500 that I can recall that we resolved.
It was 500, and then I had like just under $400. And
Is that more than your regular bill?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a spike, are you talking about a
You got
one-time
a
spike?
$400 water bill?
Yep. That was just
We need to look into it because that is not.
nothing.
Jeez.
You need to call the utility billings and
You know,
investigate that.
With the old ones, I mean, some back, you know, they had the galvanized line in and they have a leak. And you could go to the old meter and you could see that it was, you know, moving. It was slightly moving on that.
Okay, Ralph. Well, for all those individual matters, I advise you to call the utility billing department. This is not a
Well,
board
and that's
matter.
what I did. I just wanted to bring it up to let you know you're gonna probably get some people trying to call regarding this, and that I said I don't have the answer on why it was. If the operator or the installator was incorrectly reading the old meter and then did something wrong, and all of a sudden it registered like there was a lot
We have
of.
to look into those individuals because
Right.
there could have been a leak right when they installed it and they fixed it. I need to look into.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that to your
When we talk to
attention.
you after specifically about that, we'll give you
Okay.
after the meeting.
Okay, certainly.
Madeline?
But I also think that if you're starting to do some public outreach on the situation with the new water treatment plant, and perhaps it'll be a little yellow in the beginning till it flushes, you might want to include some analysis or some heads up to people that when they get these new water meters, they are more accurate, and they can expect that there will be a more accurate reading of their water consumption. Because
They go
people
to-
are complaining when they've seen this, but they've gotta be informed that, you know, these are much more accurate.
And that's what I did. I mean,
Yeah,
I
no,
told them
I
it's gonna be more accurate because the old one, as I indicated, there was a lot of
Wasn't
water
doing
getting
it.
by without being measured. But, for that amount of water, and that amount of increase, you know, doubling or tripling what the cost was, there's a problem there.
Most likely it's a problem in internal plumbing. I can tell you how many leaking toilets and the water is going and keep refilling your toilets and people are just not aware. And it could be just put the dye in the toilet and figure out that, you know, the water is getting out of the toilet because constantly refills. There's many issues, but I would strongly recommend call the utilities department when you have something unusual because and I'm not saying that the staff was taking wrong numbers. The staff was taking numbers what he saw on that meters. Those meters were outdated. They were not accurate. And it's not like the water was passing by, that the needle wasn't moving quickly as the water was moving.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
indicated.
I think we could resolve this individually by just calling the utilities department.
What would be the process that if somebody else in our neighborhoods ask us, how do you want them to report the problem?
Okay, so we have, if we come to the last page here, I have all kinds of contact numbers.
Perfect.
And we also go to every single HOA meeting. We have been to 23 so far. So we still have a ways to go, but we are going to go to every single HOA meeting. We have a website. If you let me get to the last
Yep.
page, there's all.
Let you
Thank
present.
you.
So here's the scope. Here's what we are going to replace approximately 65,000 existing water meters throughout the city. And then once everything is installed, which we expect to be done by mid-2027, we have hired Core and Main that's going to operate and maintain and monitor the system for 15 years. So they're responsible for anything, communication. If it's not communicating properly, they send out people to address it. So here is just some pictures, because before we started replacing meters, we actually did an audit of every single meter to see what we had, what kind of situation we are going to meet. So here is just some early field observations, some bees, some roots, some things that needs to be addressed before we go there and replace the meter. As you can see, it's not possible to replace any of these meters before we get it addressed. There is some obstruction and quite frequently concrete in the meter box. So Jason's team is helping out with clearing out water meter boxes, so when our contractor can come and he can have a smooth install. Otherwise, he has to skip these, and you know what happens. You get out of the schedule. So we launched the first installs in December 2025. We started very slowly, wanted to make sure everything worked and integrated with our billing system and communication properly. We ramped up in March last month to 200 a day, approximately 4 days per week. We increased to 300 per day in April, and we're going to top out at 400 installs per day in May. We don't do installs on Fridays, so it's 10-hour days, Monday to Thursday. So we expect to complete everything in the summer of 27, and when I made this presentation, which was March 31st, we had 3,571 meters, but today we have 4,009.
And Ingrid, who is the installer? What's the contractor name?
It's Core and Main, and they have a subcontractor whose name is Ambacor, which I will get to here.
Okay.
You see the truck there. So what people can expect, we do this per billing cycle. We do the installations per billing cycle because there are blackout dates when meters are being read. So we're doing two billing cycles at the same time. So we send out this postcard about 3 to 4 weeks before we get into the new billing cycle, so people are aware of that the meters are coming. We visit the HOA meetings. And then during the installation, Envicor is the company that comes and does the install. They knock on the door, they say that they are there, they turn off the water for, if it's a good install, 10 to 15 minutes. If it's a little bit more complicated, 30 minutes. Hopefully that will be it, unless something else happens. Okay, and then the water gets turned back on.
So Ingrid, I'm sorry, so this is a template of that postcard that it's being sent to the residents?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to see on that template the name of the contractor. Because I can tell you, when the Envocor is gonna pull up to some neighborhoods and start digging in a meter box, it's gonna be a lot of questions, who you are, and it just, if you can just add some language, a city approved contractor, Envocor, and maybe the logo, so that people immediately recognize who is doing the work. Because what I understand, they actually doing the physical connection, and I'm just, as a tip.
You can certainly do that, but if you scan the QR code that's on the postcard, it gets to our website that has all the information.
You don't know if
I think it would be beneficial to do both.
Okay.
Especially elders, they don't want to scan it, but it just so avoids the phone calls, what are you doing here? And even for a contractor, it's better that people would not ask questions, the people would already expect him to be there and do those replacements. It's just the tip.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. We can certainly do that because we're just about to print a new batch.
Thank you.
So here's just some before and after picture, an old meter, the new meter. And here is what you will see. The new meter is installed, and then they need to commission it, make sure it's communicating with the base stations. So that takes a few minutes, and then afterwards, you will see a little round mushroom cap on the lid.
I was wondering how the signal will get through that metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Did you had to replace the lids?
Yeah.
Purchase new ones?
Some of them we're drilling, some of them we have to replace. It depends on if it's in the sidewalk, we have to align with ADA requirements, so we have to.
Oh, okay, because the tripping
But
hazard.
if it's not in a sidewalk, we can usually, depending on the material of the lid,
Okay.
we can drill it. And it doesn't need to be recessed. It will just stick up, no matter how much you drill, it will never stick up more than
Yeah, the
more
top.
than this.
The lid.
Yeah, but if it's in the sidewalk, this vertical cannot stick up. So here is places to call. Obviously, billing questions, it's utility billing. We also have a special smart water meter hotline for any questions, and emails, website, smoke signals, any way you want.
Operational question. So the old water meter readers, are they contracted or city employees? Or?
They're contracted.
Okay.
City employees like Jason and his crew is assisting with the installation in case you have a concrete or tree roots. Correct?
Yeah, but I was thinking the regular meter reader process, right? Are we gonna have, what, are we
There's
gonna
no
have to
more meter
repurpose people or just change contracts? Sounds like contracts.
Yeah, well, they're busy responding to the sewer and water breaks.
They still have to read the meters
Correct,
for a while yet.
yeah.
Correct.
Yes, we are reading for a while. We are estimating to start billing this summer with the people that have gotten them installed. But we will do manual reading at the same concurrently to make sure.
So the contractors who are currently reading the meters, that contract will be terminated, we'll save that money?
It will be phased out.
Phased out.
Yeah, and then,
We'll
yes.
save that money.
In theory.
All about money. All right, does that conclude your presentation, Ingrid, for
Yes.
the
If you have any questions?
questions? Well, thank you so much. We could move to the second item.
Oh, wait.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, Risa, go ahead.
Yeah, I just one question. Is this part of like a energy savings program?
No.
So this is not, there's not going to be a payback period for this with all the cost savings for the contractor?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But you actually will make money on this because the old meters
Yeah.
are reading correctly.
Yes.
You're gonna make more money.
They
Unless the
will.
meters, unless the new meters read lower.
No, they won't, they'll be
How would
higher.
you know that?
Because they all read higher. What a Dana, Debbie Downer.
All right, the next, I would like to move to the next agenda item, consent orders. And I believe Ingrid, are you gonna be presenting?
No, Albert, we're gonna be with assistance from
Albert, excellent.
Ingrid and Gabby. This is on the overview of the consent orders. We currently have 2 consent orders. We did have a previous, because Mr. Parrington had mentioned, we had a previous consent order that was closed out in October 2024. We issued a second consent order that was approved by City Commission in January 2026 and then finished and issued from DEP in February 2026. So we are on the 3-year window for that. We have the wastewater consent order, and also that's been amended once, and then we have a second amendment pending for that that really addresses, focus in on the inflow and infiltration, or the I&I, which we have a head start on. Water consent order, kind of a little breakdown of what's going on in the water consent order. Again, it was issued, that was issued in February 2026. The first date in that 3-year window is July 2027, which is the completion of the assessment, an engineer's report that we're gonna have to issue. And then You can see the other dates as they come in with the full compliance by February 2029. As far as the wastewater consent order, we go through the amended one, which is the First Amendment is scheduled to be completed, currently on track to be completed by March 22nd, 2027. And then we really don't know what the date of the Second Amendment, which is the last box in the lower right-hand corner. We're still waiting. We responded to FDTP in February with their last comments. They acknowledged receipt, but they have yet to get back with us whether those are acceptable, and they will be issuing the amendment number 2 to the consent order. The next items.
Hold on a second, Albert. So I want to pause you for a second. So looks like the water consent order, which is a new one because all the 2 previous one was the wastewater related only.
Well, there's one water consent that was closed down.
Okay. So the new one that is issued last year and I guess effective this year, it's also asking for asset management program and tracking system, which I'm happy to see that we ask for the presentation of the asset management status that was implemented because the consent order on the wastewater, but looks to me that the investment to the city works and maintaining the asset management would give us also a benefit to meet the consent order on the water side. So I just want to pause here for a second. I don't really have a question, but I think this is how I understand. So I'm glad that the board is asking for asset management constantly because looks like that would fulfill also another consent order.
Well, let me ask that as a question, please. So is that correct, Albert? That the current asset management system is going to help us fulfill this requirement of the consent order?
To some extent, that's a correct statement. Currently, we have an RFQ out there to hire a firm consultant, if you will, to give us that engineer's report, stamped by an engineer, to tell us our plan going forward. The second phase is to go through our analysis of our existing asset management system to see how accurate it is. A third phase is do additional field work necessary to close any gaps that they see into that. And then the last portion is to develop a CIP plan on replacing pipes that are not just by age, has there been additional breaks in there? What's the priority the asset management system gives us to replace that? So developing that CIP plan going forward. So that's the condensed version of that 3-year with that water consent order. It's really developing a future CIP on what pipes we should be replacing in that time period.
That's wonderful. But I think the question was, we have an asset management system. Are we going to be putting the data into that system? We're not going to make a whole new system okay.
We're going to use Waterworks, CityWorks. Sorry, Waterworks, CityWorks, too many works. CityWorks, yes, but we're going to the first thing is make sure what we have in there, what's in there, and then we're going to field verify whether it's accurate, and then build upon what the accuracy and add. Because I can look at and say there's a 6-inch pipe that says material unknown.
Right.
We're going to find out. It's going to be known before to meet the DEP requirement. What size is it? We're going to know what size it is. So what year it was installed? We're going to verify all those data as much as that as humanly possible. Have that all in that, and then determine how many breaks and all that. Put that into the AI, if you will, or that CityWorks management structure and find out what's the priorities for us to replace.
Great. And the contract for that has already been, did we already hire somebody to do this?
The contract that you're seeing on tomorrow's agenda, that's what you just asked for, Marilyn, was it was determined that contract didn't include that scope of work that was in the water consent order. So we had to develop a new RFQ that takes it through because the current contract or the proposed contract doesn't require any. The DEP requires that a registered engineer stamp the report. Mm-hmm. There's no requirement in that contract being issued tomorrow that has any engineering related to it. It's an asset management system. So we had to do that second phase because they said it didn't comply with that. So it could be the same firms, but it's not. it didn't comply with it, so
Just
we have
has
to
to
do
be
something
solicited in a separate way.
Okay. Peter?
So, what was the genesis of the water consent order? I'm assuming that a certain number of water lines were breaking or something like that, but that happens all over the place. Why did we get singled out to have to fulfill a water consent order?
Luck.
5 months, I don't know the answer to that.
So I believe there was,
We report when there are leaks and breaks, and there were, the system experienced several water main breaks between September 23 and April 25. And based on that information, they formulated this consent.
in combination with the extensive boil water notices. So the DEP, it's not like we're gonna flag you because you have breaks. Obviously, too many breaks, it's always red flag. But also the condition, the repair happened quickly, but the conditions when we have 3 weeks of pending boil water notice, because we cannot pass the bacteriological testing, and looks like we have problems internally.
Well, a lot of the breaks were age-related too, and that was the issue.
For me?
A lot of the breaks were to age-related of the pipes, so
Correct.
that was the other issue that probably proceeded the consent order.
But there's not some precise
It's combination.
criteria that DEP has, per 1,000 residents, number of breaks or number of boil water. This is kind of a feeling that they get. Is that putting it too strongly? But we're seeing a lot of breaks in Fort Lauderdale. We better give them a consent order.
Well, when we report the breaks to them, they ask specific questions. What was the cause of the break? What was the composition of the pipe? The age of the pipe, etc. So if we had 10 breaks, maybe 8 of them was cast iron piping, and maybe 8 of them were installed in the 1950s. So
Are we thinking that when we get through this water consent order, that will be it for water consent orders? They're not going to come up with others unless we start having huge numbers of boil water orders, which is not foreseeable.
We don't have a crystal ball, Peter, but it does, as far as this goes, it is administrative and then setting up that CIP. If they don't see us delivering that CIP in the time frame, they might, in that, 7 to 8 year period, look at us 5 years later and say, you haven't done it. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But right now, this ends with this
Yeah.
this review. You've developed the plan, you've accepted, now you're obligated to deliver it. They do work on a water system every 5 years, and if we're not doing it.
So the delivery of the CIP on this is kind of crucial, right? Critical.
That will be that's the outcome, the CIP, and then getting that fund.
Now, I'm sorry, on the wastewater, I understand why that came about in the first place. Then you had the amended one. Now, as a result of the first one and the amended one, did the information that was achieved and created from those first consent orders, number 1 and 1A, did that bring about the last one for the inflow and infiltration? Because the earlier consent parts spoke to, well, you're getting an awful lot of inflow and infiltration. Does that make sense, the question I'm asking? The work that was done on the first part of the consent order, did that actually, in a sense, generate the last one here? Because it somehow became apparent that we had significant inflow and infiltration. Or is that just, again, another seat of the pants thing that DEP just thought it was a good idea?
If I understand correctly, you say because we repaired all the previous projects, now it's become more apparent that we have an inflow and infiltration problem. Is that your question?
Yeah, sort of, yes.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. You said no?
No, because I think, so what happens when there's a significant rain event, they read the flows at the GTL wastewater treatment plant, and you can see that there's a spike in the flows whenever there's a rain event. And that's how I believe that.
But do you think, there's lots of cities with lots of wastewater treatment plants, and they don't all have, the same sort of consent order. So are they actually asking from the data from every city's wastewater treatment plant and watching it peak or not peak or whatever, and then going, aha, we've got a consent order on our hands?
They do read those data we supply that data on a monthly basis, and they look on it annually based off the rain events. In this case, I don't think the two consent orders, the original consent order was really what the water consent order is, what we're talking about right now. The amendment was to actually do some installation. The second one really is not tied to those first two. It was a vehicle rather than issue a second wastewater. Let's just amend this to make it a little bit more administratively easier for both the city and DEP. They really don't have any correlation. This consent order number 1 will be closed out in March 2027. And we don't get this new 30/30 data and extend the dates of these to go into it. That would be essentially a new consent order. And it really it's focusing on I&I, the I&I thing, which we already had a head start on since we have the consultant working on the I&I.
What I'm just going to now shut up is if we understood clearly what the sort of criteria were, then we on this board and others can be kind of watching this, because we want to wrap these up, and I feel part of the role here is to try and watch this and see situations developing and say this is not looking good for the number of boil water orders or whatever. So I'm trying to look ahead and say, well, what creates these? Because when we finish them, we really don't want any more.
Madeline, you'll never not have any more, and I tell you why. When we got the first one, when the poop was flowing in the streets, we came to their attention.
It's different.
We came to their attention, and they all of a sudden said, we're going to make an example of Fort Lauderdale. I remember this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do I.
And that first one was the Second Amendment. We went through the first one, and we found, when we were going through it, they found that there were other things. So they added on some other things. That's the amendment. So when we get finished with these, there's no guarantee that we're never going to see them again. We put a lot of money in the bank here. We got a lot of goodwill, I think, and they're sort of, we're working with them, so it won't be a spiteful thing.
We're in the minority of cities that have these consent orders.
Not necessarily. Look at Miami-Dade.
Well,
This is a big city, and we can't be comparing ourselves to Parkland right now. It's a big city.
For me, the lesson learned was, on this topic, it's best to go unnoticed.
Well, what's that mean, though?
Means
Well,
don't call attention to yourself.
I think, but the attention is necessary. And I see this as a enforcement to improve the infrastructure. And I think the staff would agree with me that that's why we have the long list of the projects. That's why we have the bond. That's why we're getting those projects executed, because we have an enforcement above us. And otherwise we're gonna be sitting and complaining that we have another water break, we have a boil water notice, and when the agency comes to action and force us to do it, there's no discussion, no negotiations. We must this done, which is the healthy way to run utilities department. And I'm sure the staff is getting tired of fixing breaks, and we're hearing from them. We all know we have a cast iron. We all know we have an old piping. And what are we going to do about this? Until somebody comes from DEP and say, hey, you guys need to replace this in the next 3-5 years. Has to be a plan, it has to be action, money needs to be funded. I actually see this on the positive.
Yes, but we've made a huge amount of improvement over the last, I don't know, let's call it 8 years or so. And, it seems to me that we're deserving to get to the end of this now.
You get to the end, you're going to start all over again, Peter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, board, we do have 5 minutes, and I want to run through this presentation at minimum for consent orders. So, with all due respect, Albert, please continue.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Mary. Gabby, you want to go through the four quickly over the remaining projects?
Yes. All right, so the first one we have here is Northeast 38th Street and Northeast 50th Court 42-inch force main. This is located in Oakland Park property. This project is almost complete. We successfully finished pressure testing last week. So after we get the certification from FDEP, we need to perform connections to the city of Wilton Manors and the city of Oakland Park's wastewater system.
Okay.
Oh.
What'd I do?
You can press here, let me see. Do this.
Okay, the next one is the Southeast 9th and Southeast 10th Avenue 48-inch to 54-inch force main to GTL. This project is ongoing in Victoria Park right now, and
Excuse
as
me?
well as Harbordale.
Thank you very much. We're living with this too. It's always Victoria Park.
Yeah.
Trouble.
We have run into some issues, which is led to the extended time in Harbordale, especially connecting to the existing 54-inch pipe. The pipe is deteriorated on the outside. The liner on the inside is in good condition, but our connections to this pipe, we need some custom fittings that we would have never known until we dug it up. So of course, these are things that would have happened to anyone who would have run into this project, but we're working through it. All right, the third one, the effluent force main from GTL to the injection wells. This project completed all of the installation of the mainline pipe in Broward County right-of-way. And the remaining work is at the injection wells, so connection for the redundant force main to each of the injection wells. Currently, they're working on injection well number 1. It's the first one, and so far everything's going well. And then the last work that'll be completed is at the GTL plant, the connection of the redundant force main to the plant. This has to be done during the dry season, so they can only work on it from December through February.
Oops.
And the last one here is the installation of the permanent emergency generators at GTL. So the 4 generators have been installed. We're just working on the connections and kind of a rehabilitation of some of the existing equipment that was there, trying to reuse some existing equipment to save some money, and so far all is going well.
And the last slide is what we've just been talking about, the I&I, the new consent order, which we have yet to sign. So evaluation, analysis, which we're in the midst of right now, coming up with a rehabilitation plan, and then implementation, giving us a 7-year window to get this thing started. Thank you.
Okay, excellent.
Started?
We do have 2 minutes and
Quick.
2 questions. Madeline?
Started? I thought we've been working on this for like 7 years. When you say started, the I&I projects.
Well,
It just says.
when I go to the evaluation plan, it says 5 to 6 months. We had a Dura Consulting. They've been on for like 16 months to do that. That's what I'm talking. Yeah, we've been doing I&I every year.
So this is the consultants that we paid to give us the big picture.
The big picture.
Okay.
And that's been incorporated into the site. So when we get the I&I, the actual consent order done, we'll be almost ready to hand them the report. Says we're 18 months ahead.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
Are the flows coming into the George T. Lomar indicating that you are gaining as opposed to, on the I&I? I'm sorry for that question.
No, it's a difficult question to answer because you have increased flows coming in due to development, and then you have your decrease in your I&I. So how are you balancing that out? Do we see decreases at certain pump stations? Yes.
That's great.
Do we see a decrease in the overall flow at GTL? Marginally, because compared to the amount of water we're pumping into the system. I look at how much we're doing at 5 Ash and Peel Dixie. We produce about 40 MGD of water a day, and we average at GTL about 40 MGD. And that doesn't take into account all that irrigation water that doesn't go in our sewer system.
I guess you're trying to really overcome the existing pipe that's deteriorating and falling apart, allowing the infiltration, inflow.
And we're making headway into I&I by lining the pipes, by lining the manholes, by reducing that, all that inflow stuff, and infiltration, open manholes, open cleanouts. So we're doing all that.
Okay, thank you. Roosevelt, last questions from you today.
Just real quick. Have you increased the budget for the purpose of maintaining our pipes, regardless of size, so that we don't have the consent orders and the things that have troubled us for the last 10 years? And because I think we need to get away from being able to say we didn't raise your tax or we didn't do this, and then let maintenance side of it, and that's what cost us this time.
We're putting money towards the I&I, if that's what you're asking, is that
money across the system?
Huh?
Across the system.
Across the system, across replacing pipelines and lining pipelines is what yes, we put money towards that. And that's the same question, are we making headway? Yes, we're making marginal headway. You know, how much we can. We're right now, we have money set aside in 2026, we have some money in 2027, and then we have bonds even in 2028, 2029 to make even further. Once we have the report done, we have where we want to put our money. We can methodically, except not randomly going through the process. So yes, we have a plan going forward.
Thank you. I ask you in 2 years.
Well, that's why we have the master plan with the priorities areas, because we have saltwater intrusions that deteriorate the pipe from outside, as you know. So it's really difficult to spread equally.
Madam Chair, we've had master plan for years.
Good, and we're about to implement.
We need money though.
All right, it's 4:00, 4:02. We have one more reports to review and mapping for the water sewer breaks. If I would like to, maybe Jason can give us quickly. He's been sitting 2 hours and take a voice, and I know that's your.
We had 2 main breaks last month. The 601 Cordova Road was age-related. It was the iron pipe, and 615 Northeast 12th Avenue. That was due to the construction at Victoria Park.
Can I ask you a question about the 15th Street one, which is now the third one?
Mm-hmm.
It's that same pipe, that same old pipe. When are we going to bite the bullet and do an engineering study on just replacing that whole thing?
That's the question.
I think that's gonna be part of the water.
Yeah, we can do. We're part of the water and wastewater master plan. We'll review that, and I've actually asked them to do some priority areas. This is one of those that we'll look at early on. You know, instead of having that master plan that's going to take literally 18 months to do, but we want certain areas like I want you to focus on this, and give me a technical memo up front so I know how do I prioritize my funding in the fiscal year 28 and 29.
And which bond do you think that's going to be in?
I don't know what the cost. I don't know if that's going to be priority yet. That's going to be
okay. But let's assume you got a couple of priority projects. Are they already in the bonds, or do we have to go for a new bond to get those done?
They're not in the existing. We have bond. I think it's 28 and 31. If I'm not mistaken, those are the two projected bond issuance in our rate study. So, is all that money allocated? No.
No, but it could possibly be in the 28 bond if everything goes.
Priority. Then we have to figure out the priorities.
Okay.
If the city
Maybe
can,
prioritized in this water consent order assessment.
if the city
Look at
still has
frequent breaks as one risk.
if the city still has sufficient bonding capacity.
Oh, well, and there's no property tax reduction, in which case we don't have any money for it.
No sewer breaks.
Let's not be depressed.
All that math needs
Let's
to go
not
together.
be depressed.
No sewer breaks.
But no sewer breaks this month?
No. That's the second
Jason,
one, right?
excellent. Good job. Only 2. And what was the cause? You said Victoria Park break was caused by the contractor?
Yes, the unbond construction.
stormwater contractor.
Okay, so I'm assuming you guys repair, but not your fault. Okay, excellent, good job. Thank you. So we have general discussion and comments from board members, public comments, and then we can adjourn the meeting. Any general discussion, comments, other what we were already said? Hearing none, okay. Any public comments? Hearing none, okay. All right, it's 4:05. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
You don't need one.
I need a motion for the presentations.
You can adjourn the meeting.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you so much. I see you next month.